Welcome back, America. A huge case that was under the radar, so much so that I called my friends at Fox and other places, and I said, you're not paying attention to this case, Loper Bright Enterprises et al. Versus the Secretary of Commerce. It's a massively important case, and full disclosure, Landmark Legal Foundation, of which I'm chairman, filed in this case as well. And what you have here is basically a case called Chevron from 1984, in which the court deferred judicial review to the bureaucracy. So basically, the bureaucracy issues the regulation, enforces the regulation, and adjudicates any disputes involving the regulation. And you can see with the climate change issue, the automobiles, and everything else, the bureaucracy does more legislating than Congress. It's completely out of control. So this is a big decision that basically says, we overrule ourselves, we were wrong, now we fixed it. Now, just to get to the specifics, it says the Administrative Procedure Act requires courts to exercise their independent judgment in deciding whether an agency has acted within its statutory authority, and courts may not defer to an agency interpretation of the law simply because the statute is ambiguous. Chevron is overruled. Boom. Article 3 of the Constitution assigns to the federal judiciary the responsibility and power to adjudicate cases and controversies, concrete disputes with consequences for the parties involved. Boom. What do you think of that?
Well, I'm going to tell you, this is the biggest decision that the court has put out. It not only reverses the 40 past years of a terrible adjudication, giving a massive amount of power to the bureaucrats. In my opinion, Mark, this is the thing that guts the swamp. It guts that regulatory administrative state that we're starting to see grow and fester, and it's absolute power being reined in. And what I mean by that is, this was an instance in which the government makes the rules, and then the judges' hands were being tied to make sure that they were enforcing them impartially and fairly. So now we go back to what should have happened, which is judges reviewing the government and to see if they are acting properly under the statutes. That puts them in the same position, not a better position, the same position as citizens of this country.
And so the point is, as you point out, that as a practical matter, your business, you're being regulated by Agency X. The regulations are being enforced by Agency X. You say, wait a minute, you're not doing this fairly, and then Agency X gets to decide whether Agency X is doing it fairly or not, and there's no judicial review, which is so perverse.
That's exactly right.
And of course, the left and the bureaucracy are going nuts because they have all this concentrated power, and now they don't. Go ahead.
That's exactly right. It's also been a massive way for these bureaucracy, these agencies to stack the deck in their favor. They take massive amounts of money from these companies when they come in. They get to take the money first, and they don't have to answer for it. So they're seizing assets, they're shutting down companies, they are controlling all of the ability, and they eliminate a company's ability to fight, and they should be allowed to fight. So it's shocking, but remember, we went from a few thousand statutes in Reagan's era to over 350,000 regulatory statutes on the books. So many so that we're not sure exactly how many. That's how bad it is.
That's a great point. We don't know how many regulations there are in this country. We don't know how many regulations have strict liability. We don't even know how many regulations carry criminal penalties in this country. And so that is a huge problem. So government, by Leviathan, by bureaucracy, by administrative state, the way Joe Biden right now is ruling this country through executive orders and regulations, the Supreme Court said, you know what, we got to get back to small R republicanism now. If you have a complaint, you bring it to the court. You don't bring it to the same body that is involved in imposing its will on you. Thanks so much, Brett Tolman. You're always great. We appreciate it, my man.
Thank you, Mark.